What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to today's Anfield Agenda news roundup. I'm going to be focusing on some transfer activity, but I'm also going to be giving you my honest take on the situation with Darwin Nunez and what I think needs to happen moving forward. As always, though, my friends, we want to know your thoughts, so do let us know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So look, I'm going to start off with the Darwin Nunez stuff, and then I'm going to move into some player related links and contract extension stuff. But on Darwin, so as many of you know, I've been a backer of Darwin, and I was going into this season with an open mind, hoping that Darwin Nunez could prove us wrong. I found glimpses in the season that I've convinced myself, okay, we're moving in the right direction. His work rate has increased. His defensive work has increased. He's thrown in a couple of assists. But I have to be honest and say, last night was the realisation for me that he just isn't going to make it at Liverpool Football Club in the way that we had initially hoped when we'd signed him. So I think I'm now admitting to myself for the first time that there is no way back now. I think it's too long. He's had long enough. And unless he was to go on an incredible goal scoring run between now and the end of the season, which looks very, very unlikely, I'm not going to go in on the kid. I'm not going to start knocking him and running him into the ground because there's enough detractors in social media already. I'm just a little bit disappointed more than anything, to be honest, because I wanted it to work for him. I'm an emotional dude myself, and seeing him play with his heart on his sleeve, it's somebody that I'm drawn to. But I can't excuse it anymore. Some of the finishing has been shocking. Some of the decision making has been shocking. And I just can't see a way past us needing to bring somebody else in. And whether we end up using Chiesa through the centre, if he stays fit for the rest of the campaign, or Diogo Jota, or Luis Diaz, I think we are now getting to that point where, we can't just bury our heads in the sand and say that we don't need to address this situation. It's probably something that we could look to address in the summer if we can continue to keep Diogo and Chiesa fit. But that is me, finished hoping that Darwin's going to turn it around. And I do say that with a heavy heart because, as I've mentioned, I've always liked him and wanted it to work out. But you cannot excuse some of the misses. You cannot excuse some of the finishing. It isn't there. And when it comes to those big crunch moments, he just doesn't have it, unfortunately. And I'm going to read out some comments from Jamie Carragher on this, where he spoke about Nunez and he said, "I'm not sure he's here at Liverpool next season. I think he'll probably move on. He's more like a cult hero because he's a bit mad and he likes to run around, but he's better than Divock Origi." So it's probably a fair quote there from Carragher. He does work hard and run around, and he can get the fans on side when he is rushing into challenges and stuff like that, because we love an honest player at Anfield. We love watching somebody who leaves it all out there on the pitch. But with our number 9, with our centre forward, we need that class, and we've been spoiled over the years with your Robbie Fowlers, your Ian Rushes, even your Michael Owens, and Fernando Torres, Luis Suarez. You could just keep rolling these names off the tongue. Bobby Firmino. He's not going to be one of those, is he? So, I wanted to bring it up today because I've had time to sleep on it. And last night, obviously, everybody's very emotional around it. But for me, I still feel as I did last night. I cannot see a world where Darwin Nunez turns it around at Liverpool anymore. So, that's my take on it. And I honestly look forward to you guys letting me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm going to move on to speak about a few other bits and pieces now. But we spoke about this with David Lynch, actually, as well, in a video that will be coming out a little bit later on this evening, probably about 6 o'clock. And David feels the same. It's hard to see a future for Darwin Nunez in the centre forward position at Liverpool moving on. So again, looking forward to reading your thoughts on it. A couple of bits and pieces that I wanted to fill you in on news wise. So Premier League lawyers have been spotted arriving for the closing statements of the Manchester City trial of the century, as it's been dubbed. Now, again, I would remind everybody that even though these closing arguments may now be happening, it's probably still going to be some time before we know the results or the outcome of this case. So, just a little indicator there that we are moving towards perhaps the end of this now. So again, we wait with bated breath to see what the result of this is. Now, Team Talk have had a couple of transfer links for us in the past day or two, and look, they're fairly sensible links, so I want to see how you guys feel about them. They said yesterday that Liverpool are planning to make a combined £91 million move for Bournemouth's Milos Kerkez and Real Sociedad's Martin Zubamendi in January. I don't know about this. Now, of course, we all know the interest is there in both players, and I'm not saying that we won't do business in January, but I still have no indication that ZUBIMENDI is willing to leave in January. It sounds like if he is willing to leave, it's in the summertime, so I'm not sure they quite have it right with this one, although I'd very happily be wrong about it. Kirkes as well, you're talking somewhere between 40 and 50 million pound looking at the valuation, so they say 91 million pound all in. So of course, would love to know your thoughts on both of those. If Liverpool somehow could do those in January, would you guys be happy about that? Because I mean, I just want the central midfielder in all honesty. I wouldn't say no to a left back as well. And another link, actually, this one coming from Ben Bosak, who said, Liverpool have not given up hope of signing Martin ZUBIMENDI. However, they have also lined up alternatives, which is something that we haven't seen or heard too much about. Goes on to say that one of the possible candidates identified is Samuel Ricci. Club scouts have been very impressed by his numbers and see him as an ideal alternative. Now, to the best of my understanding, this guy plays for Torino, so we'll wait and see what happens there. Look, I don't know. I'm always nervous at the idea of bringing in an Italian, to be honest with you, because we've had a kind of mixed bag with Italian signings in recent, decades probably. So I don't know if there's much truth to this one. Another area I think we need to start looking at, though, is the centre-back situation, because last night let it be pretty clear that if one of our centre-backs or our backup centre-backs isn't at it, we could have problems. Last night, Kwanzaa was forced to play at right back, and being honest, I still don't understand why. I felt like Gomez should have moved out there to the right, and Kwanzaa in his more familiar centre-back position. I get the idea that Arne Slot wanted to, I guess, keep that partnership with Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez as Ibu was out, but it seemed like a common sense move last night to just put Kwanzaa a little bit more inside where he's used to and put Gomez up against Anthony Gordon in a position where I think he's far more comfortable than Jarell Kwanzaa was. So that's another area perhaps to keep an eye on. We don't need to look at the goalkeeper market, obviously, and I just want to again address last night. It was disheartening to see some of the vitriolic stuff aimed towards Kelleher. Look, he made a mistake, and I'm not trying to front up and say he didn't, but he didn't do it on purpose. He's had a very good season so far, and, you know, I just think he's earned the right to make that mistake, and, you know, it had a big impact. It cost us going from 3 points to 1. He'll know it. The manager will know it. But we also need to make sure that we stick behind him until Alisson is back fit, if and when the manager decides to put Ali back in. So I just wanted to bring that one up as well, because it was a little bit disheartening last night. But I've always said to you guys, sometimes it's about the context of these things, right? And the context of last night's draw was that we went from a winning position into a position where we drop points, and that hurts and it sucks. We've been on the other side of that, we've pulled it out of the bag late as well, and we know how great that feels. So I guess now that we've all slept on it, I hope people have a bit better perspective on it perhaps today. So look, that is it from me. I will be back tonight at 8:45. Until then, the video with David Lynch is coming out in a while, so keep an eye out for that one about 6 o'clock. I'm recording later on tonight as well with Joe Wayman, a Liverpool fan, or excuse me, a Leeds United fan. We're going to be talking about what it's like back in the Championship and those guys looking towards a move back into the Premier League. That'll be out tomorrow, along with the preview, of course, for the Everton game. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.